We've got Pulp Fiction on the shirt, on the side of the sleeve looking clean. And today, of course, I'm going to be reviewing the 3-volume manga by Felipe Smith, known simply as Peepo Choo. Now, as you can probably tell by the author's name, Felipe Smith, he's actually not Japanese. He's actually Spanish, but he lived in Japan for a couple years, and he actually published this manga, Peepo Choo, in Japan, and then it was later published in English after that. So it's still considered a manga, even though it's not done by a Japanese artist and writer. But if you don't want to call it a manga, then I guess you don't have to. So jumping right into it, the main character of Peepo Choo is this boy named Milton. And Milton, he's a bit of an otaku, a bit of a weeaboo, a bit of a nerd. Milton is into comics, manga, anime, he's into all that stuff. And his goal at the start of the series is to go to Japan, because he's of course obsessed with Japan, and he really just wants to go there so he can finally talk Japanese to Japanese people. And at the start of the series, Milton definitely has a very Fantasyland type of idea of Japan. And Milton basically thinks that the entirety of Japan is all like Akihabara. And obviously that's not true. But after a series of events, Milton wins a free trip to Japan, and what can get better than that? Every weeaboo's dream is to one day visit Japan. Now, the main antagonist of the series is actually a Yakuza member named Rockstar. And Rockstar, he's a Japanese guy who's really into American gangster movies. And ironically, Rockstar actually thinks that pretty much all of America is exactly like these American gangster movies. Just like how Milton thinks that all of Japan is like a Japanese anime. Now, like I said, the series is only 3 volumes long, so I don't really want to go too in-depth into the story, because I don't really want to spoil anything. But overall, this is just a really funny story, it's a really lovable story, and overall, this was just a complete blast to read. Now, going into Peepo Choo, I was actually a little skeptical as to whether I was going to like it or not, just because I don't really hear too many people talking about it. But I was actually really pleasantly surprised, and honestly, it's probably going to be in my top 20 once I make my big top 20 manga list, so yeah, it's definitely a really good manga. Now, throughout the series, Milton definitely kind of realizes that Japan isn't all like Akihabara, and first he's a little disappointed by this, but as the series goes on, I think this makes for a really good lesson. It definitely shows a lot of really interesting themes and commentaries about stereotypes. And Peepo Choo is definitely also a commentary about the language barrier, about integrating into another country. And I think this is very telling of Felipe Smith's own experience, because he was of course a foreigner living in Japan. And I actually think the character Milton and his coworker Jody are 2 really good characters. And there's another character named Reiko that's later introduced, and she's also a pretty great character. And overall, I was really impressed how a 3-volume series like this can have so many memorable scenes and characters. Now, the series is definitely also incredibly raunchy, edgy, and offensive, so if you don't really like that type of stuff, I probably wouldn't recommend reading Peepo Choo. But if you're a fan of raunchy humor, I definitely think you're gonna get a kick out of Peepo Choo, because there were definitely some points where I was really cracking up during this manga. I also think Peepo Choo is surprisingly deep, and I definitely wasn't expecting that. I was really just expecting a funny, lighthearted story, and it actually did have a really interesting commentary and a lot of really great themes too. Overall, Peepo Choo is a really good manga. I'm surprised not a lot of people talk about it, and I definitely want to see some more people in the manga community check out Peepo Choo, because it's really just a fun read, and it's a pretty great manga. The series actually is out of print, so if you want to read it, you're probably just gonna have to read it online somewhere. But overall, I definitely think it's worth a read. And with all that being said, I'm gonna give Peepo Choo my final T-Dog approved score of a 5 out of 5. So overall, you really can't go wrong reading Peepo Choo. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to slap the like button, subscribe, drop a comment letting me know what you think of this video, this series, a manga I should read, whatever it may be. just drop a comment. We gotta get that YouTube algorithm going up. And I'll see you guys next time for another crazy video.